Welcome back to Cana. So yeah, now that we've opened the door, let's go through.
Let's go
Yes,
through the
people, I have played
Stargates.
Shadow of the Colossus and Last Guardian.
Well, we don't climb giant creatures in this game, but
Yeah.
There's another indie that where you can do that. But recently
Yeah,
released on console.
Hence
That
why-
archway you
well,
went
hence why I
through looked like a
mentioned
Stargate.
Hence why I mentioned two different weighted games, Pedro. The aesthetics still fit, especially.
yeah.
And again, let's not forget the markings shown in Last Guardian are similar to those shown in Shadow of the Colossus, which means that, well, from what you told me, the worlds may be connected. Like,
The worlds are connected, yeah.
Like I also mentioned in one of the previous parts, you have to remember that Ueda and Kenji Kaido designed Eco Shadow of the Colossus with the mentality of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I
Also,
do
Jova,
know.
I get the impression that the connection is extremely loose.
Well, depends, Shirai.
Okay.
The connection.
When it comes to Eco and Shadow of the Colossus, the connection is actually pretty obvious.
Yeah.
To the point where some people speculate that the main antagonist of Eco may actually be the damsel from Shadow of the Colossus, Jaded and all that stuff. And let's not forget the fact that, well, due to the actions of Wander, boys with horns and Eco are pretty much ostracized.
Yeah. So remember, Shirai, like Wander at the end becomes a baby with horns because of the shape he took when he got took over by Dorman, and then in Eco. Suddenly, there's boys with horns who are seen as a sign of evil, and Ueda himself has actually confirmed that there are connections between the two games. So yeah, it doesn't leave much room for imagination, really.
Now, with Last Guardian, apparently the connection is a lot looser, but what was one you told me was the connection there?
Well, there's the horns on Trico, like, Teo's even talked about it, the fact that Trico...
I did mention this at the end of Shadow of the Colossus. The idea is mostly that it might be set, in a more longer, far future, from the events of Eco Shadow of the Colossus, where the idea of horned beings as transcended even human beings, and yet it's used as an energy source by that civilization to harness, that kind of energy for their technology. Hence why it's used all over the nest, and why the horde tricos, kidnap children and other human beings for that purpose.
Might as well to mention something. Aside from you being used for the pulse sonar, if you hold L1, you create a shield all around you, and the shield itself also has its own life bar of sorts. So of course you can't just you can't just hold L1 to avoid all attacks, because if you use your shield too much, eventually the enemies will break through your shield. So make sure you make good use of the shield, because if you do have your shield broken, you have to wait for a cooldown period to end before you can use it again. So
Smash Brothers logic.
Basically, yeah, if it helps you. There you go.
So Ken is totally gonna be in the next Smash game.
Sure, why not?
If Sakurai likes the game, he probably will.
And hey, if Smash Brothers Ultimate was any indication, we are getting all the more closer to potentially adding indie characters.
All right.
Add Hat Kid from A Hat in Time.
No, wait. Don't you see? Kenna will show up as a spirit in Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
So who wants Jova's address for that terrible pun?
Me.
We'll get back to that when we eventually get to Super Smash Bros. Infinite.
All right. For now. Ooh, look at all the gears. There you go.
Lush.
Hey, Benny and Saya. Okay, then. Let me see if there's anything here. No. Alright, then. Ooh, look at all those statues. Alright. Yes, Jova?
I think what does help the graphic fidelity is it's nothing that's too taxing on the system, in the sense that, yes, these are very high-fidel graphics, but they keep it relatively simple, mainly grass, some statues peppered out through here and there.
Oh yeah, there's also
the Unreal 4, which is a very easy tool for programming stuff like vegetation.
Mm-hmm.
I should know, I've used it in class before.
Yeah, it's interesting, you mentioned Concrete Genie before, Teo. That game was also made in Unreal 4.
Yeah.
So,
as someone who has used both Unreal 4, Engine 4, and Unity in video game classes, Unreal 4 is way more user friendly.
Oh, that's
It just costs more.
that's everybody's common sense. All right, cutscene.
Hey, Mr. Rusu! We've been looking for you! We brought our friend Tina. She's here to help Taro.
Oh my god, it's the bad guy from Shadow of the Colossus.
No.
I can't.
All right,
Yes, Pedro?
I thought you were gonna make an Owl House reference.
same.
I haven't seen yet the show.
It grew strong, drawing on its energy. And the land was once in perfect balance.
But it all changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Yes, yeah.
Crime follows a natural cycle.
Gotta work
Only
on your
the
harmonies,
Avatar,
guys.
master of 4 elements, can bring destruction to the
As
world.
the
Wait,
shroud's
what?
power began to fade. A devastating
God, now you're
Yeah, keep that in mind, though.
Did you?
Spy.
Yeah. Did you watch that Fire Nation propaganda video?
So there you go. Taro, Benny, and Saya lost their parents because of the famine in the village, and that's what eventually led to corruption.
have done more to help.
And then those 3 died probably somehow in the forest.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that went down later. For now, let's.
We can still help Taro, Rusu. There's a relic covered by the corruption at your house. But I need a way to...
Is Rusu also a spirit, or is he just another
Yes,
guy?
yes. Literally everybody we meet in this game is dead. Jova.
Rusu is voiced by
Huh.
Alan Adelberg, who has worked for a couple of recent games, including Fire Emblem Heroes, for example.
And I'm just saying, the biggest irony would be if it turns out that our protagonist herself is a ghost, guiding other ghosts to their death, but not realizing that she herself needs to go.
No, Kina's arc is differently. We'll get.
My planet needs me.
For now, the only thing you need to know is that she's succeeding her father's role, but we'll get to more about her later in the 3rd chapter.
That's gonna be the plot twist. Kina is an alien.
So there you go.
But she's not afraid of ghosts.
So yeah. Turns out we can use our staff as a bow. Let's try it.
Ground yourself.
By the way, I love the music in this scene, by the way.
Draw on its power.
Thank God it bends.
Mm-hmm.
A spirit arrow.
Is that a Clock Tower 3 reference?
It's okay, Jova. Everybody's already dead.
That's actually one thing that I haven't brought up about the game as well. The soundtrack of this game is also pretty great. It's actually my personal favorite soundtrack of 2021. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I agree that Neo Replicant's soundtrack is amazing. That being said,
Those remixes.
that's what I was saying. The reason I
To be fair, well, there is actual new original material.
there is original material to it, but it's still mostly the same soundtrack, just arranged, which is why I still think it is a bit cheating on, in my opinion. Because
Considering also the Game Awards included the year before Hades, a game that had been already released on the Epic Games Store 1 or 2 years before, with the excuse of being in early access, quote unquote. The Game Awards are notorious for having this kind of cheating.
Not a lot of favoritism, even if like, the game in question does deserve.
Look,
the win in
Xenoblade
particular.
Chronicles 2 got robbed.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
2
gonna say.
years in a row.
Okay. So to be fair, from what Tio's told me, Nier Replicant had enough so that it could be considered a clear-on remake. And technically, a remake does count as a new edition.
Just strictly about the sound.
Yeah, trust me, Jova.
Hold on. That is my point, though. With a new game, technically does count a shot at a soundtrack here and there. Like, even if it's a soundtrack that's shown up before, if it's attached to what's a different game, technically that counts as a different game being nominated.
I
the song similar
get where
be
he's
damned.
coming from, but I feel like that's very much a strict technicality.
Oh, yes. Oh, trust me, it's without a doubt a technicality. but one I can get.
No, sure, I understand that logic too. It's just that I mean that award should have been given back in 2010. That's basically my point.
That's also the weird thing. I checked again just to be
Were
sure.
the Game Awards a thing back in 2010?
The first Nier, the original Nier.
Yeah,
No, Pedro was talking about just the
asked
Game
you-
Awards, which we started in 2013, I think.
Yeah, so to be fair-
Sure.
Hold on.
Wasn't Among Us up for awards last year?
I think so, which was instead released in 2018. But I checked in the meantime. That's the thing. Kina's soundtrack was not even, nominated for the best core music. The other candidates were Cyberpunk 2077, Deathloop, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, and The Artful Escape.
Oh, sure.
But,
Among those,
we're all
I
good
think Artful
contenders.
Escape would have been the ideal contender.
Well, I'm not saying though. It's just that I feel like this score should at the very least been nominated because I actually think this game is really
I
great.
agree with that. Well,
the score is very
feels
pretty.
weird, but at least it wasn't. I gotta be honest, a couple of sections had, spots where I do believe had games which should have been nominated there, but
wait
they
till
were not.
I will bring back my argument as well when we get to the ending of Taro's story because the music that plays in that cutscene is just masterpiece.
I do think maybe it's about where, they can only choose like up to 5 per category, and it's like, well, the 5 that they chose did have pretty good soundtracks. Yes, even Cyberpunk 2077. That game had loads of problems, but the soundtrack was not one of them. I will give it that.
Anyway,
So-
I think I mentioned that in the first part, connected to the soundtrack that Pedro just mentioned. The composer is called Jason Galati, and as far as I know, only did that teaser, that Majora's Mask, fan teaser that, Ember Lab did back in the day.
I'm
Also,
guessing.
it's so nice of the ghosts
Sorry.
to provide us a hat cart every now and then when we want to dress up our little guys.
Yeah, I'm guessing too. He's probably gonna be their partner from now on,
It's a shame
probably.
that it doesn't seem to have much of, it doesn't seem to be recognized much on particular sites. Not even the IMDb page for Kina actually credits him.
But yeah, basically the idea. Okay, so basically the idea is that after you unlock the bow, Rusu actually has 6 different archery challenges that you can use to practice your archery skills. If you do all of them, you get a trophy. There you go. Basically, and yes, this feels a lot like the archery challenges from N64 Zelda games. So kudos to that.
Also, to answer the question,
Yes.
the Game Awards were a thing back in 2014, but before that, they were called the Spike Video Game Awards, but they ended that in 2013. So Jeff Keighley decided to
Sure.
make a spiritual successor.
Sure.
I remember, I think if I recall, they had the first one where it was very awkward to look at. It was like in a basement, and the biggest news that we got was something tied to Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze.
Oh my god, I think I remember that.
Yeah, Reggie just walking on stage and saying, "Here's Cranky, bye."
Anyway.
Yeah, because everyone thought, oh, you got announced Metroid or something.
Yeah.
Well,
Man,
Metro
Metroid
were
Dread was
involved.
really
So yeah, basically, you actually have 4 arrows at a time, and each of them has their own cooldown period. So you can only shoot a maximum of 4 arrows in quick succession before you have to wait for at least one of them to go through the cooldown period. So that being said, as you progress through the game, you can unlock extra arrows up to a maximum of 6 through the skill tree. So
let me guess, spirit arrows can only hurt spirits.
no, that can hurt anything.
Besides,
so
most of your
basic-
enemies are spirits anyway, and like Pedro just demonstrated with this challenge, the objects that you hit are not spiritual.
So basically, my joke about Kenna accidentally hitting someone off screen is not out of the realm of possibility.
Sure. All right,
I guess
and
you
now
can
we can.
argue the arrow travels as much as the wielder wants. I don't know.
Anya Strober?
Another one.
All right, and that levels up to level 2. We got one more energy ball, which means we can now do two rot actions in quick succession.
I see. So rot wisps also act as your EXP.
I said that before. There you go. Now there's also the hair slime, but I'll get that later. For now, let's get some fruit for our rot.
An eggplant by the looks of it.
Yes.
Oh god, they're tearing into that thing like a piranha pad.
A cute little piranha.
Look, Jova, little palpable minions require nutrition every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, just don't be in their path when they eat, or you'll find yourself reduced to bone.
No, Jova, they're not the bugs from Red Planet, don't worry.
Alright, so another one.
It's weird because I hear Amy snuck off from that movie into the next Metroid game.
Just wait until one of those finds that successful enough, to have Amy multiverses.
Maybe. Oh, well, you know what? Given the popularity of Metroid Dread, maybe the Mad Lads might actually do it.
That's the thing, Jova. It was just like that people found, and I happen to remember about Red Planet.
Oh, there you go.
Because, sorry.
If you beat all the challenges, like I just did, you also get Rusu's mask, aside from the trophy that I mentioned before.
We can see his past too with it.
No. His mask to put on the rot. It counts as a. It counts as a rot hat, basically.
Cosmetics,
Okay.
Jova.
The actual masks that we do get spirit-wise is for free spirits, because we have a total of 3 spirits to free main story-wise. Taro, the second one, Adira, and the third one, Toshi, aka the first spirit we first met at the beginning of the game.
Oh, so they get cute little hats and masks that represent dead people.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
Wonderful.
Well, the rot themselves are spirits, so by their standards, they're just getting masks of their own kind. So
Wait, so does that mean, is that like a dead person wearing another dead person's face, like a trophy?
if that that helps you, sure. That's one of the cool things that I actually do like about the overall tone. Like, because think about it from Kena perspective. Like, she's literally all alone here in this particular region with nothing but spirits of people who have passed on. So she's basically completely on her own, alone right here. So she's a lone. So you can kind of see her as a lone warrior who just goes over. Like the game doesn't flat out state it, but I've always took it as much like Ashita in Princess Mononoke. She's a lone warrior that goes around helping spirits whenever she can. So.
She's never alone. She has spirits.
It's interesting. Again, I think I mentioned this when Pedro originally streamed the game, but it's interesting the fact that with a game like this, usually Kena would be basically an audience surrogate, someone the player can identify with and thus has to explore war. And while that is present to an extent, Kena seems to have already a story of her own that the player is, the player doesn't know yet on their own, and as far as we know, the game doesn't really tell because for the purpose of this story is not really important.
They still tell us. They still tell us something later, but
bold move from developers to having this kind of confidence when it comes to storytelling, but because you think they will play super safe on this.
Well, they do actually do. Well, by the time we get to the third chapter, we do get some insight into Kena's past, but it's but it is not as much as you would expect. Yes, so yes, they still do. They don't go super safe as you were just saying.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Compared to their primary source of inspiration from this, the 3D N64 Zelda games, where Link is literally just, an audience surrogate, where, to be fair, he doesn't really tends to have backstories, but it's more of a spectator of what the world around him, tends to have. That, of course, will change that for some of later titles, but specifically for those two.
Speaking of Zelda,
here, things are definitely different.
Speaking of Zelda, now, these flowers, there you go, and taking a cue from Breath of the Wild, you also slow down when you're shooting your arrows in the air. Mm-hmm. And meditation spots are basically this game's equivalent of the heart containers. Rest here and center yourself to permanently increase your maximum health. So there you go. And yes, Theo,
Can you actually write haikus with these? I don't think so.
No, that's for another PlayStation game. But And yes, Tail, you do get a meditation spot every time you beat one of the 3 big bosses. So yeah, they kind of are your art. They are kind of are your art containers. Yes. Yes, Sherry.
Well, I can't write haikus anyway, so I'm glad that's not a thing here.
I can't even spell.
Oh, Ghost of Tsushima.
Well, Sherry, in Ghost of Tsushima, you can just pick any of the any free phrases out of a selection of a couple. So it's just a matter of selecting which phrases sound nicer to you.
How far will you go, game?
No, I'm just showing because one thing that I do like is that while she's meditating, they constantly change all their various shots, and they show. So it's actually pretty cool. Again, it's this kind of mini scripted cutscene of sorts that you have when she's meditating. And there you go. Basically, yeah. Think of those flowers as a hook shot spot, and your arrow kind of works as a hook shot from Zelda.
You know, ironically, despite her being the only living person, it never really does feel like she's truly alone.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the thing, Joe. But there is one particular thing I would like to say about that, but it would involve spoilers about something at the end of this chapter, so I'll save it for later. But I will get back to you on that.
Don't tell me this is all in her head, actually.
No. You don't have to worry about big plot twists.
The game is, on a lot of things, the game is mostly straightforward.
So Kina really isn't an alien then?
No, she's not an alien. Sorry, Dwips. This is not.
I guess if you wanna go on a technicality, she might be considered an alien towards the spirit creature because she's completely different.
So yeah, like Kana said earlier, yeah, Rusu's house is full of corruption. So yeah, we gotta clean this. You gotta clean this mess. And there are the monkeys. There you go.
Oh boy.
Fuck.
Monkey!
Of course, even in the afterlife, they blow their crap at us.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I can't wait for us to collect 99 of its crap.
There we are.
Are you referencing fossil fighters?
No, Breath of the Wild. Korok's and and like you get poop as a result.
There we are. Here's another mini boss, Wood Knight. Okay, notice that this Wood Knight has yellow rocks on certain parts of his body. That basically those rocks can be used. You can shoot those rocks with your arrows, which will cause some extra damage, and also throw in some yellow energy for your rot meter. So if you're good with your shots on the bow, make sure you take advantage of that. There you go. That being said, I'm pretty good right now. I could just browse through him. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Alright. Now we just need to...
Purify it?
Yes.
Yeah.
With fire!
There we go.
No. We just need to give it its shots.
And there you go.
The moral of the story is get vaccinated.
With this, we get the first of Taro's 3 mementos.
I can get behind that. It is so beautiful.
It is. And it's this knife, actually, which we will now... Okay, so let's take it and see what memories it carries.
You see, that's what Princess Mononoke was missing. Weapons with memories in them.
And the knife becomes a mask.
But more it gets imbued inside it, or because memories and shit.
Okay, this one doesn't, so I forgot about that. But, alright, next one. Oh, yeah, he's gonna tell us anyway. Forgot.
And I tried my best to teach him the old ways.
Little did you know that these woods would be his tomb.
Our village. I was not there for Taro when he needed me most. I hope we can bring him peace. More relics are hidden in the corruption of the Forgotten Forest. I'll wait for you there.
Okay then, to the Forgotten Forest.
We're going to a forest. Are we gonna...
Haven't we been in the forest the entire time so far?
No, it's a different forest.
Well, right now we're in a mountain, but yeah, there are a lot of trees here. So yeah, if that helps you. But right now we're on a mountain rather than a forest proper. And there we go. So yeah, basically that little thing is basically one of those things where every time you hit those things with an arrow, the thing goes up a little. So
you have to juggle it to keep it midair.
It's basically one of those see for how long you can keep that thing from falling.
Oh great! It's just like that special Heartless in the first Kingdom Hearts.
All right, there we are. More fruit. Alright, let's check the house, see if there's anything cool to steal. Well, Theo, it's not...
all this inspiration from Zelda, but not actually entering and breaking pots. So disappointing.
Well, technically that's kind of what we were doing, it's just that, I mean, it's not like Rusu's gonna need any of this crap, he's dead. There we are.
Guess Rusu wouldn't mind if we borrowed his life savings, then. Given that his life is
considering
over.
the particular life that these woods, the inhabitants of these wood had, I don't think they even had a currency system.
Probably.
Or did they?
Well, that's the thing. The only currency we have is the one we use with the rot card. So, as far as we can tell, there you go. All right, and now we increase the shield's health meter. There we are. Alright, with that all out of the way, let's go down. Gotta get back down so we can go to the Forgotten Forest. But first, treasure chest. There we are. So yeah, like Theo was saying, much like 3D Zelda games, there's a lot of treasure chests all over, so check out every nook and cranny to get all the goodies. So. Alright, and it seems like we're good. So, let's carry on. Okay, but basically, might as well expand upon what Joe was asking in the previous part. Basically, Joe, did you notice those bits where we reach a new area, like that thing right there in the this thing right here with the flame?
Yes.
Every time we found one of those new things, the flame lights on, and it counts as both a save point and your fast travel point, basically. So basically, you don't need to. Basically, if you need to backtrack back to the village, I can just immediately go to the nearest save point and just teleport to the save point in the village anyway. So you don't have to worry about backtracking.
Backtracking way less of a pain.
Exactly. Again, like we do. This is a throwback to old games of that era, but fortunately, it still updates things for modern standards.
Okay, so this is what I mean. When the rot wisps are like that, all they have is the yellow eyes instead of the pupils. That's what I was referring to.
That's actually their true form. And we'll get bigger and we'll get bigger and bigger, and we'll see its final super duper ultimate form at the end of the game.
So under all that cute Pixar-ness are things that might give little kids nightmares.
Well, Jova, let's face it, the rot can't exactly market themselves properly if they look scary, so they have to take a more Pixar-y form. So. Alright. Alright, so basically one cool thing that they also have is that the rot, aside from being able to take down enemies, they can, when they're in their forest tier form, they can also, as you can see, make plants grow. And if you make all these plants grow in these fields, you gain some extra skill points, so why not? Here we go. So the game also does kind of have an environmental angle to it. Again, just kind of like Princess Mononoke. So it also has the environmental message angle to it about how important the environment is and shit like that.
So I guess this game is pretty much like, Studio Ghibli, except Ni no Kuni, won't allow any video games, so we'll just make spiritual games that kind of remind people.
And we'll give it a Pixar look instead.
Yes, yeah, we can blame how badly they handled a Nautical video game to thank for that.
Yes, Dej?
I was gonna say more on the level of DreamWorks, which still looks really good. So that's not an insult.
I will argue the overall style of this particular animation feels very similar to something like you would see in something like Raya and the Last Dragon in particular, actually.
I was gonna say they have like Disney face? Like,
yeah,
I don't wanna, like...
No, I see what she means. No, like, they do, it does feel a lot like, One of the more
Especially the eyes.
That's fair. The main Disney studio.
the Disney animation, like it feels a lot like something you see in the more actiony. Again, why is the best comparison I can think of right now, because it's the most recent one in that style.
You can maybe make some argument for the environments to, be reminiscent of Five-Year-Old Studio, but when I look at the characters, I do think, Disney.
All right, and some fruit for our rot over there. So there you go.
Well, at least they're healthy. They're dead, but they're healthy.
That's kind of an oxymoron.
Yeah, isn't that?
They're dead, but they're healthy.
Exactly. Shut up.
Yeah,
Hey,
shut
look.
up, Twix.
Hey, haven't you seen Coco and how some people can look like in the afterlife?
Mm-hmm.
That's the exception, though.
Book of Life.
Exception. I mean, that's the thing, Deji. Deji, just because there's more than one example doesn't stop it being an exception.
Don't Disney own Book of Life now?
Yeah, technically.
Yes. I think it's on Disney Plus at this point, actually. Yeah.
It's a good movie.
I enjoyed it.
It really is.
I shall check now.
It was made by the
see
same
Coco
creator
still, though.
as El Tigre, so you knew it was going to be
Although that I think he gets the shaft in favor in terms of billing compared to Guillermo del Toro.
good. No, I don't think Del Toro worked on.
He was like a producer or something.
Can confirm Book of Life is on Disney.
It's because, well, that's the thing, Deji. You have to understand that unlike Guillermo del Toro's name is actually recognized and well known, whereas the director's name is not. So usually, when what studios do is they pick. Okay, it's kind of like with some trailers, instead of saying the name of the director, say from producer Steven Spielberg, even though he's not actually the director. Like, but they
this is how they tricked a lot of people with bad movies just by saying, "Oh, from one of the makers of this title," when in reality they did not have much to do with it.
Speaking of which, I wonder how the sequel is coming along.
Book of Life, no, that got canceled.
Oh,
It was I think it was in the wipe post Dark Phoenix.
All right.
That's a shame,
Thank you,
because
Dark
honestly...
Phoenix.
Okay, Disney, you like making sequels. Why not a sequel of Book of Life? That's a sequel people were looking forward to, and with your backing, it could go even greater beyond.
And while you're at it, put Fox's Peter Pan and the Pirates on Disney Plus. So...
the rights to those kinds of shows sound so tangled. It's like, do they even know they own it?
Well, okay. Suppose, as the name implies, I'm assuming the show is owned by Fox. So,
Imagine the tragic irony if it turns out it wasn't.
all right. See you for the next.
next part.
See ya.
See ya.